Welcome back, everyone. This is Liz Faircloth.
And I am Andressa Gadelli.
We are the hosts of the InvestHER podcast. And what we're talking about today is the 6 habits of the wealthiest women. And here's the deal. Often we think, Andressa, this is all about money, right? How to increase your net worth. But a lot of the habits in looking into this, when I was, looking at the wealthiest women, the habits actually aren't just about the money. It's about our mindset. It's about our way of being. So that's what I'm really excited about sharing with all of you. I have 6. I'm going to go Jersey style here today on today's minisode. I'm going to go fast and furious.
Jesus. So I like the habits, because habits, we can duplicate that. And that is the most important thing, right? Because if you tell me like, a trust baby, and then you build so many businesses and you have been successful, well, guess what? Yeah. But a habit, I can duplicate that, and there's nothing stopping us from following those habits.
And for every habit, I'm going to give you some examples. I'm going to look to Andressa to give some examples. Let's jump in. Number 1, and it's so simple, but having regular financial check-ins. That can mean check-ins with your partner. That can mean check-ins with yourself. That can mean check-ins with your financial planner. But we underestimate the power of focusing on what we're looking to grow. And you might be listening to this like, you know what, Liz, I've heard that before. Yeah. Share something new with me. But you know what, Andressa? I bet that is one that is common sense, but not common practice.
Yeah.
Quite honestly. So if you're not having scheduled, it is not on your schedule right now when you do your own financial / wealth building check-in with yourself. And here's the biggest thing you can ask yourself. And Andressa and I do this with all of our strategic meetings. I do this with my husband, Matt, when we meet, which we met last week. What is working and what's not working? We meet on a monthly basis, and we look at our personal financial world. We look at what's happening. We look at our investments. We look at goals that we want to move the needle forward. We do that on a monthly basis, and then we have actions from that meeting. It's very simple. It's very basic, but it's very, very powerful if you have a habit of doing that once every month.
I was just observing. You also have to have team members, like the people that you work with, that are on you. My financial advisor, oh, God bless.
Yeah, you said that. He's been really like giving you homework and really encouraging.
Yes.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, we're meeting this time. Let's get you on the calendar and let's talk about it and let's do the work. And here's the next step. To be quite honest, do I really want? I'm so excited to do it. No. And then the last time that I was like, we're meeting in 45 days, the next 45 days. And then I was like, he's like, okay, we're meeting this week and here's the agenda. I was like, it already passed 45 days? You already passed that? And I don't realize that, but it's so important and it's very intentional, right? It's very intentional. The conversations that I'm having with him, I started with him prior of having my son. The conversations changed, and where I am right now in my life, also it's evolving. We're now talking about completely different things that I have not talked before because it didn't apply. So it's very intentional. So just be mindful of the people you surround yourself with. You know if they're right people when they are in partnership with you. In partnership, they are in it with you.
Love it. So that's number 1. Number 2 is one that's near and dear to Andressa and my kind of way of being. And we just talk about this all the time, but it's so important. And it actually was, when I was looking at all the wealthiest women, it was a piece that really was a consistency. Invest in your physical and mental health. And again, you're like, we're listening to this about building my wealth. Wealth is health. Health is wealth, right? They're so connected. They're so, they're connected in various ways, and you can't have one without the other. And Andressa and I have both done tons of different things with our physical, mental health, right, Andressa, especially in the last year. And I think you have to continue growing. I have a vitamin regimen. I see a coach. one area that I'm really being more mindful of is my glucose intake. So you're hearing this live. I need to be held accountable. I need to buy a glucose monitoring kit. I've been saying this for probably about 6 weeks.
It will be arriving in your house in 2 days.
Right? But that's something that is my next level of monitoring my nutrition. I generally eat healthy, but I want to take it to a different level. I want to live till I'm 100 so I can enjoy the wealth and the money that we're growing and we're cultivating. So what's one thing as you listen to this, just one thing you can do to take care of yourself physically or in your mental psyche? It doesn't have to be 10 things, but one thing. I want to get this kit, in the next week, I'll say live for all of you to listen to.
So I am monitoring my cortisol level, and I do this hormone test every single day. So it's tracking every single day.
Ooh, I love that.
What's happening. Why? Because I want to understand. I'm curious. I am evolving as a human being, as a woman, and I don't want to make decisions based on my hormone level, to be quite honest. And it does affect how I show up for my team, the decisions that I make, how I show up for myself. So I want to make sure that my baseline is taken care of. I slept, I took care of my body, my mind, and I'm showing up 100%. Otherwise, it will affect, you're going to make decisions based on a high level cortisol that are going to affect the way that you run your business and you grow your portfolio. So
I love that. Again, and I got to get that hormone daily thing too. I want to get into that more. All right. Oh, I can only choose one, I said. So I'm going to go with my glucose monitoring kit first. All right. Number 3 is all about being strategic with your time. Again, intentionally being strategic with your time. You cannot give me a wealthy woman who is on the defense, meaning they're just literally letting everyone else dictate what they're doing and when they're doing it. It's just not a habit that's going to get you to be wealthy and healthy, quite honestly. So what do I mean by being strategic with your time? I remember, Andressa, and many, many conversations we've had over 6 years of building InvestHER together. I had a call with someone and you're like, what was the purpose of the call? And I'm like, we just talked about a few things. And you're like, and then we had a whole conversation about intentionality. And not that I was never intentional, but my level of intentionality has increased. And I think there's so much power in being intentional with our time, being strategic with our time. So it gives us the freedom to grow and to learn that next tip that we need to do when we're building wealth. So really, am I playing offense with my time or defense? It's a very easy question to ask. And if you feel like you're a chicken with your head cut off, then you're playing defense. And that's not going to be a road to becoming wealthy.
A simple action is that you're only going to meetings that have a very clear agenda that you both shook hands on. Because you might have an agenda and they might have a different agenda for the meeting. So it's very important that the agenda is shared prior of the meeting. And you might like, oh my gosh, that's so strict.
So much work. Yeah.
So much work. It is because you are intentional with your time and you know what will make that meeting successful or not for both parties. Otherwise, you are in a meeting and all of a sudden you're like 2 hours into the freaking meeting and you have not accomplished. And you're like, what did we talk for 2 hours?
It's a waste of everyone's time. And nothing happened. So the 4th one is actually the most important one here, but the hardest one, to be honest. So here's the deal, Andressa. So often when we're building wealth, when we're building a business, it's really hard to pay yourself. We always think we got to get that next property, that next deal, that next revenue generating, product going so that we can kind of warrant or even feel okay with paying ourselves. And I think that's the worst thing that as investors and as entrepreneurs we can do. There's something about the energy when we start to pay ourselves first, more of it is going to come, and that's where the universe is there to support you. And even if it's a certain amount of money, what I love about paying, you and I didn't do this for many years. And I didn't do this in many different businesses of mine for many years. And then we started to, and ironically, what happened, Andressa? More money, right? More resources came to us. So I would highly encourage you, and it's hard to sometimes do that when you're putting all your money into to one bank account. A resource that's really worked really well for Andressa, myself, and InvestHER has been working with Relay Bank. They are an online banking portal, if you will, and you can access it anywhere. What I love about Relay, there's so many different things. They have profit first. They're very aligned with that. But what I love about it is that you can have unlimited accounts. And you could have partners in those different kind of like accounts, and you can access it anywhere at any time. It's not like the brick and mortar local bank. And I think that's really important right now, right? Because, I'll pay myself first. But then if you don't have a way to do that, right, Andressa?
Exactly.
You're
like
not going to do it.
Systematized way to do it, organized way to do it. As you grow, you have different projects. So how can you organize that? Listen, Stuart from the bank that we work with.
Yes.
Love you, Stuart. But honey, the portal does not support our growth. And that's what we encourage you to do. Is the portal, is the lending services that I'm using supporting my future growth? Yes or no? If that's not the case, you got to look for options like Relay, especially because of they really understand profit first. That is a big deal.
And they make the process of even signing up super easy. So I'll say quickly where you can go if you're inspired to do so, which we highly encourage. letsbankwithrelay.com/investher. So check that out. All right. So that was number 4, pay yourself first. Number 5, and this was actually Sarah Blakey. I know Blakey, I'm saying her name incorrectly, and she's like amazing. But this is a habit that she utilizes. Create a space for productive thinking. And she says she does her best thinking and productivity from a growth perspective, wealth, her business, et cetera, in the car. So when she's driving, she does some of her best creative work. For me, it's running. For Andressa, it's when she's taking a shower.
Yep. Yep.
Right. And so often people are like, well, I just need a strategy to build wealth. You need space to build wealth. You need the creative space because in a lot of ways, the ideas are there. We're just not tapping them. We're not connecting with them, and then we're not implementing them. So if you don't have that time to think, Andressa and I were just talking about this before the episode, and you're not actually creating the space to think, then it's just not going to happen by osmosis, right? And that is a habit that wealthy women employ. They create space. It's not, by happenstance, whatever's left over in the day. No, they create proactively the space so they can do the thinking that will help them move towards their wealth building goals.
A funny fact about Liz and I is that every time that we were traveling together somewhere, we have the agenda for the airplane.
We do have the agenda for the airplane.
We have the agenda for the airplane. So if we're going Arizona, Texas, every state that we had at InvestorCon, I don't know, poor people around us, they learn everything about what's happening.
We cover a lot of bases.
And I don't know, something happened with Liz. She has a freaking connection with heaven, and she starts saying certain things. And like, keep talking. I say to her, keep talking. I don't interrupt, and we don't judge the thought and the idea. We don't go into like, yeah, but no, we just like keep talking. And that's when the magic really happens. So I invite you to come with us on our next trip.
I love it. And the sixth one is really a very simple one, but be thankful. And this was somewhere I read about Oprah. Be thankful what you do have. On the path of financial freedom, on the path of building your wealth, you can get really focused on forward thinking and looking kind of like in the future versus really being grateful for what you do have. And when we're grateful for what we have, we get more of it. Again, things we've heard, things we understand, but it's not something people are doing every day. There's so much in the gap of looking to build something more and not appreciating what they already have. And that is a very simple habit, doesn't cost anything, that will move you towards wealth. So just to share the 6 again, Jersey style today, I try to go as fast as I can. But regular financial check-ins, make sure you're scheduling that. At least get something on the calendar in the next month. Invest in your physical and mental health. What does that one thing look like for you? Be strategic with your time. Simple question, are you playing offense or defense with your time? Pay yourself first. Check out Relay to be a resource to help you create that habit. create space for productive thinking time, and also be grateful and thankful for what you do have. And thank you so much for listening. We always encourage on these minisodes, quite honestly, anything that Andres and I do, one thing you learn and one action you'll take. Go to our Facebook community, tag us. Hey, I listened to your minisode on the 6 habits of wealthy women. This is my one takeaway, and this is the one action I'm going to take. Andres and I would absolutely love to see that.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for listening.